Hello and welcome to the Sheep Seats. I'm your host, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep. I am joined by longtime best ball aficionado and just general baseball fantasy nerd, Spencer Thurman. What's up, Spencer?
Not much. You nailed it. Fantasy baseball nerd is the best way to describe me.
Yes, hold on. I gotta just this speaking of fantasy baseball nerd, I gotta put this back up. This is my AI art. Billy's calling it out here again. This I put into AI art to generate a fantasy baseball nerd using like the stacking dingers colors as the uniform, and for some strange reason, AI thought that it had to be the most handsome man ever. Also, so that's going to be our
That
new unofficial mascot. So I had to throw it up again.
I like it though. It's good. AI did good with that one.
Who we got out there? Tyler was here a long time ago. I'm guessing Tyler's not here anymore. Experts here. What's up? Robbie's here. Matt's here. Billy's here. Excellent. Welcome everybody.
What's up, guys?
Spencer, I've seen your screen name before, but I was introduced to you this year over at the Bubba and the Bloom Patreon group. I ran into you there. But yeah, you've been in Underdog Streets for a while. So what kind of is your quick history of that and just best ball in general?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I've been playing Underdog since 2022. Started football in 21 and started doing baseball in 22. I don't have any wins or any good things to show for my efforts, but you know what? I've loved every bit of drafting, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I just say one of these years, hopefully it'll crack that formula. But one of my good friends, he actually finished third in the Dinger last year, so I got to get a taste of that success, but through him, which was really fun. And though I've been playing best ball for a long time, probably football over 10 years ago is whenever I first got into best ball. And best ball is my favorite way to draft because obviously drafting's the funnest. So you get to sit and draft an underdog, you can draft to your heart's content. And I mean, anytime you want to draft, you can join. That's what makes underdog so amazing to me is the fact that at any time, like this morning, I woke up, I was getting ready for work, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to see if a draft's about to fill. And I jumped in a little eliminator, and like it was just super easy, and I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before Underdog, what kind of best ball contests were you playing?
So NFBC is where I play mostly. Or NFFC for football, whichever way you want to think of it. But NFBC and Best Ball Tens, I started that in 2020 and fell in love with that. I talked a lot about that on my podcast with Bubba.
Yeah.
If no one's ever heard of Best Ball Tens, it's all individual leagues. It's a part of the NFBC platform. Well, it's like a sister site, I guess you'd say. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. Anyway, it's cheap leagues, it's individual leagues, $5, $10, but you're not in a tournament. So you're just trying to win your league. And it's 32 rounds. So it's much more in depth and you actually have, all your positions to worry about as opposed to underdog, which is much more for, I would say, the fantasy footballer. If you're really into fantasy football, doing underdog baseball is a great way to get into baseball.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Jason's here. What's up, Jason? The crew at 1982 is here. We got to shout out your uniform you put on for the occasion tonight. So I know you're not a super Brewers fan, but what's the story behind the old Brewers jersey there?
Well, they say to know your audience, Matthew. So
Know the host
whenever
of the show.
you were telling me you're a big Brewers fan because you were giving me some flack for my anti-Brandon Woodruff takes. So I have been actually a longtime Cardinals fan, but as a longtime Cardinals fan, like been watching since the mid '90s. Um, I mean, I watch all the NL Central. I've been watching the Brewers for all these years. One of my favorite Brewers was Mr. Jeff Jenkins. And whenever I got into fantasy baseball, in my first National League fantasy baseball was in 2003. It was an NL only roto. And I drafted my guy, Jeff Jenkins. I won that league, and he was a big reason why. So afterwards, I had to order me this jersey.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, that was back in the day when he was basically the only one anybody knew on the team, much like would
I
want.
mean, I think was Jeremy Burnett's gone by then, but I always love Jeremy Burnett's a lot too.
Yeah.
Bill Hall, you remember, of course, Bill
Of
Hall. I
course,
mean,
Bill Call. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna jump into a draft here. We're gonna try to get into a dinger together.
all right.
Seems like we should be able to. We need 7 people, so it looks like we should get. Unlike the last, few weeks where we haven't been able to get everybody in, we should be get a good amount of the chat in tonight. So that should be good.
Yeah, there we go. That was awesome. Draft filled.
Yes, I will apologize that I'll still probably be clearing my throat again a lot tonight. Oh, you pulled the you're now that you're doing content, you get your first influencer 101 on a
How about
stream.
that? We'll take it. What to do? I have no idea what to do.
I mean, the question does exist. Are you taking Judge over Otani?
Never. No, not me. I'll take Judge plenty whenever I have pick two. But if I have pick one, I'll take Otani every single time.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I've gotten to too. Matt F tried to get in, is now in 2 drafts. What funny you'll say that because I was checking to see how full it was before the stream, and I'm auto drafting off the Stacking Dingers aggregate rankings. Another one because I was the last one in on that one. But we got you. You are at 1. The FF Child's here. TK11 Round Square. Who else we got? Recognize Raboli. Dan J. Preciado's in here. So we got a lot of friends and family in this one.
I love it. We got almost a room full of red shields too.
Yes, poor Martin 31V. Yeah, so this is a question popping up a lot. What's your theory on Otani this year stealing? Now that as much and running as much as he's pitching, and isn't chasing kind of a record.
So I definitely don't think he's going to get 50 again.
Yeah.
So he won't steal as much. I'm sure of that. But Otani is so good that I mean, who wants to ever bet against him? By the way, you're up. Before I answer this, do you want to get your pick in?
Yeah, I've got Carroll.
Okay, you've got it. Okay,
Highlighted
okay,
here.
yep. We're good.
Kind of.
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say for that pick, I do have Tatis ahead of Carroll, but I just wanted to build a Carroll team tonight. So
I like to mix those two up. I'll go either one a lot. Um, I do think Otani will get every bit of 30. I think he'll get every bit of 30. And I think that should be pretty easily just because he's so fast and he doesn't ever get thrown out. He knows he's so smart. I mean, literally, we're talking about the best baseball player maybe ever, So
yeah,
I don't ever want to bet against Otani.
yeah, and Matt here joking. He's just going to hit more doubles, so he doesn't have to steal. Knowing Otani, he's just going to be like, "Oh yeah, now I don't want to steal, so I'm just going to hit. I'm going to change my approach just a slight bit and hit more doubles."
Well, you know what? On here on Underdog, they're going to give you the points either way, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we'd prefer the doubles
Mm-hmm.
some of the time.
And those runs. I mean, who knows how many runs he'll get this year with that team? I mean, is 150 out of the question? The
No,
Dodgers are so ridiculous.
it is not out of the question at all. Okay. Yeah, I'm Vlad here all day.
Yep.
I did forget to shout out Colt fan GMF. I know they are a watcher out there too, but yeah, I'm just getting heavy on Vlad this year. I mean, I don't. Would have been nice if they have got Pete up there in addition to Santander, but I don't know. It just feels like he should be in the first round at some point in his career.
Oh gosh, Vladimir. Oh, 100%. That guy, he's a monster. I mean, talk about a hitter. I mean, he's also just one of these guys that just does everything that you want. Um, all right. I think I know what I'm gonna do. Let's see here. Get a couple stars in.
Okay, so we have one double ravioli. Went with Ellie Mookie start. That seems like a pretty nice fall on Mookie, or fall on, I guess, both those guys. So
Yeah.
that's a kind of a unique start. I don't think I've seen that too much. Yeah, and Robbie, as he's saying here, Vladdy's, projections love him.
I am going to go ahead and grab Otani's teammate with Freddie Freeman.
Okay.
I mean, Freddie, there's nothing wrong there. Now, here's where I'm torn. I don't hardly ever draft Ronald Acuna. I would have totally gone with Teoscar, but TK went ahead and stopped me from doing the Dodgers trio.
Right. Yep.
So it's Acuna or Rooker, and I'm a big Brent Rooker fan. But for this draft and this stream tonight, let's do Acuna. Let's
Okay.
go. Let's go with Mr. Acuna with Otani and Freeman. Freddie Freeman being the teammate bridge between the two.
All right. So when you're taking, are you taking much Acuna? You said not much at all. Not
No,
normally.
not much at all. When I do take him, it will definitely be in the dinger, in the bigger contest.
Mhm.
I won't ever take Acuna in eliminator because, I mean, quite simple. Your team could be gone before he's even back. It's that easy. Um, so that's kind of how I feel there. But I will grab him in these occasionally, but it's a small percent. I'm happy to get him in this one.
All right. Looking at some outfielders here, but I think we're just gonna do the stack partner with Carroll. I don't want to. I don't want to try to. I mean, given this room being a lot of friends and family, I don't know that everybody's going to be infield hungry. But I don't think I want to push it right now. So
No,
I'm gonna
that's a
grab.
great one.
I'm gonna grab him a little ahead of ADP, which is fine.
Yeah. When you're stacking them together, I've done that before many times. I mean, sometimes you can do it from the 8, the 9, the 10, but you've got it right here in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about this after seeing Santander go right next, it probably would have been better to get Santander there and hope Marte gets back and just kind of push that, because there's no way Santander was, but that's all right. We will work with this and be looking to add an outfielder probably next.
You like Santander in Toronto?
I don't dislike it. I don't really love this price. I don't know. I think I've always been a fan of him, especially in like daily stuff, because
Hmm.
he's just goes under the radar a lot and gets kind of expensive. People don't like using him. I don't know. Uh, if I like Vlad, I should like him, right? Just the idea that that offense has some juice. Because one of the biggest down, side to Vlad is maybe the rest of the team stinks.
And the next best player with him will be Santander. There's no doubt about it to me. Um, I'm a fan. That's why I was wondering if I do like him. I think that's one of the better landing spots that he could have gone to. Um, but boy, let me tell you though, I just don't know what they're going to do. If they would have got Pete, I would have felt better. That would have really helped their offense. But all right, I'll let you go ahead and debate your
Yeah,
pick out here.
we're just gonna go oatmeal here and add Brian Reynolds.
Yep,
Um,
nothing wrong with that.
I do still, or each year I am still on the hope that Michael Harris will have that breakout season. Um, I don't know if it's coming. I'm starting to have doubts, but I'm still in on Michael Harris, even though if you look at his projection to this cost, it doesn't really quite line up, and it's not like he's going to fall with all the Atlanta guys going this early.
Hmm.
But again, I'm in on it again. I don't know what. Well, I'll let you make your picks here, and maybe. If you have any
Yep,
Michael Harris thoughts.
I do. Um, I am very in on Michael Harris whenever we're talking about Roto. I really love him in Roto with his batting average and speed with the power. On here, it's the same thing. I'm not 100% sold on him on Underdog because I'm not 100% sold on the playing time.
All right, you are
I
on the clock.
think,
Just so
yep,
you
I
know.
know.
Okay.
I
All
was I
right.
was sitting here. I've got it starred.
Excellent.
I
Okay.
think what I am going to do here, there's a few different ways I can go, but I think I'm going to double up teammates here with Adolis and Simeon.
Okay.
Kind of stick with what I think is also going to be one of the best teams. I think that the Braves and the Rangers, who were both studs 2 years ago and then had terrible seasons last year for each of those organizations, I think
Yeah.
they'll be big bounce backs this year. I like to bet on them a lot.
Okay. I've had trouble getting to Texas.
Have
Um,
you?
just looking at that core three of the older guys, like I'm just adding together the potential downswing of Adolis, the potential lowering of volume for Semyon as he ages because he's just kind of like a volume hog, and then Seager just like I love Corey Seager's like one of my favorite baseball players, but um, it's tough. It's tough. Each year I want to believe that health isn't a problem, and it just always is.
It
Um,
always is. Corey Seager is one that even on all of the Rangers stacks that I do have, I don't have Seager very often. And I think Seager is an amazing player, of course, but I like you. I don't trust him. Not to stay healthy. He's kind of just proven that. Simeon, see, I do trust. I don't think he's without looking it up, I want to say Simeon's 32.
yeah,
I
something
don't
like
think
that.
he's that old.
Right.
Um, so I mean, I don't see any reason personally why he still isn't going to be out there every day, and he probably is the most dependable everyday guy that you can go for, honestly.
Fair
Um,
enough. Yeah.
and Adolis, so I'm a big fan of his. Man, last year was bad. Last year was really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping and betting on a bounce back this year. It's kind of that simple. I've been drafting him across the board. And on Underdog, you still have to pay a pretty hefty price, obviously, with outfield being pushed up like it is in this format. But in pretty much every other format that I draft, if you're talking about NFBC with Draft Champion or Gladiator drafts or best balls that I'm doing over on BB10s, he is not desirable. People don't want Adolis. So you can get him usually at great falls in a lot of these drafts. That's where I kind of seek him out, is the drafts where he falls.
Okay. All right. So I've put myself in. I took Dylan Cease. I put
I see
myself in
that.
a little bit of an outfield hole here. I'd love. You know what? Let's do it. I was gonna say I'd love to take Cole Reagans here. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to start
Yeah.
with two early pitchers. Not a common build for me, and we'll see what we can do with that as we go. Um, couple quick notes here. Robbie has too much Jake Berger. Yeah, and
Me
I'm
too. Me too, Robbie.
Wyatt Langford and Berger, like those guys. I'm excited about. I don't know, just something about that core Texas. All three of them having flags to me, just as having giving me a hard time to get to that main stack.
Hey, it's understandable. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Off last year, it's hard to have a good feeling.
Right,
But if you just think back and remember 2 years ago, there was a lot of good feelings around there.
absolutely. And
But they're pitching too.
if you look at
Like,
the
who knows,
offensive
right?
projections, they look perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I'm probably just getting in my head on this. All right, so here's a roto question. I don't know. Do you play any head-to-head points leagues?
Yep. Sure do.
Okay. Uh, what are your thoughts on Kirby Yates and head-to-head point leagues? Any chances Dodgers use Tanner Scott as a long inning? Pick your spot lefty.
I would say this. Um, if you are in a league that has deep rosters, I do think that the two of them could be a really good pair to move back and forth. Let me real quick make my decision
Yes,
here.
absolutely.
I am going to, for my first pick, I'm going to go ahead and lock up my first pitcher. I'll grab Chris Sale.
Okay.
Um, he's someone who I'm fine to just go ahead and say, let's just bet on Chris Sale being healthy again.
Yeah.
I've got a 1-2-3 build. So my question now is, do I take outfield or do I take the infielder who I love and I take a lot, the top infielder available? I love him on this, but I'm going to, for the purpose of this stream, I'm going to go with the fall of Luis Robert and
Okay.
hope that he gets traded and doesn't have to stick around all season on that putrid White Sox team. But this is a team with Acuna, so shoot for the moon, baby. We're live streaming. Let's do it.
Excellent. Okay. Um, yeah.
But
Did you have?
anyway, back to that.
Yeah.
So if you've got deep rosters and you've got a lot of relievers that you're going to be having in there, of course. I mean, the Dodgers are going to have every opportunity for hold and saves all season long. And those two pitchers are both really good. So I'm all about, I mean, heck, if you've got a big enough league or a big enough team, bench team, whatever, take also Blake Trinan and Kopech and Evan Phillips. I mean, you can kind of rotate all of those in a season head-to-head points, and drop the ones that don't work out. That's the way I feel about it. I think they're all good, but Tanner Scott's would be my first one. I mean, he's the guy who, based off of the contract, that I think makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And he's so good. But usually, a lot of times, teams go with right-handers as closers as opposed to lefties. So it could be Yates.
Yeah. And I just think it's going to be everybody.
Yeah,
I don't.
same
Yeah.
here. I was all about Kopech until these moves.
Yes, he was one of my early closers on the first DC that I did. I took Taylor Ward there to fill out some more boring outfielder spot. Let's see what Jason says here. Woo Woo says the cold disrespect seemed crazy to me, but projections don't seem to love him. Not sure what to do with him. Probably won't have as much in the dinger as I do the bullpen. I think that pretty much aligns with my thoughts. I was sold on the early Garrett Cole name value and the bullpen, and I was taking him. And now I've started taking Crochet and Reagan's, and even Snell and say he's kind of gotten to the bottom of that tier. I even kind of like Corbin Burns over him.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely like Corbin Burns over Cole. I'll tell you that right now. Um, man, Cole's a tough one for me. That is a tough one. I cannot decide what I want to do with Garrett Cole. I've pretty much not been drafting him,
Yeah,
and I'm going real quick to look to see because I'm wondering what my exposure was from the bullpen. I did 60 drafts in the bullpen. I took him one time, so 1.7%. So yeah, I mean, Garrett Cole could be right back to being a stud, sure, but man, all of his, when you look at a Statcast, 3 straight years of his Statcast numbers getting worse. Even though that he won the Cy Young 2 years ago,
right.
you still can see the decline just from simply looking at the bars just on Baseball Savant. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, Garrett Cole's a tough one for me.
All right, so I had to. I'm still trying to make up outfield ground. I had to decide about bumping up Springer, bumping up Soler. I don't love either moves, but we went with Springer for the team. And let's just highlight Bo Bichette. You have any deep gut feel on Bo Bichette? Is he just who? Is it just who he is now? Is this who he is, or is there still that other level that he can find?
My feeling is it is who he is. He's not
Yeah.
that great, and he's just not. I don't feel good about him. And I hate that because I want to feel good about him. By the way, speaking of we're shooting big with this one. I'm going to go with PCA, and then because I would like to take Strider, to be honest with you, to take another big Braves piece there with Sale and Acuna, but I'm gonna go with someone who I like a lot this year. Stick with back-to-back Cubs and go with Amoniga. I mean, kind of sticks with Otani too in a Japanese theme, but Amoniga's just good. You know, he's just good. He showed last year. I really liked watching him pitch, so I'm kind of in on him this year.
Yeah, he was a huge target for me last year on Underdog because I just thought the range of outcomes on him didn't match the price that he got. He was going 180, and he moved up to like 150 or so. You could get him there all Dinger season last year, and it was just someone I was grabbing, and it worked out good. And I think I I feel like he's going at a decent price. Oh, and
He is. Yeah, no, this round 8, 9, 10. This is kind of my favorite area to live. Oh, I sniped Shota from someone there. I see.
yeah, from Matt. That's the FF child there, Matt.
By the way, I meant to tell you this earlier. I do like the Springer pick. I definitely have been taking Springer whenever I have Vlad as well, and I need an outfielder. I have no problems moving up for him.
Okay. Let's see. So I
Now the
think
question is, are you going to go Bichette? Going to just add to it?
no. You
No.
mentioned him. I'm taking Spencer Strider here.
All right.
I like. I have two. This is three fairly early pitchers. Like this much capital is kind of odd for me, but I'm liking this idea of getting these two studs ahead of him to hold us over, and now basically, as everybody is here in these rounds grabbing these pitchers, I'm just gonna wait. I think.
What you did, I think, is the exact time to take Strider. When you have spent up and you have two or three pitchers above him, then I think that's the perfect time to grab him. Wait for him to come back and know, well, hope that he's going to be there to help you down the stretch because that's what it's all about, right? With that pick.
Right.
It's about that you've got a team that's good enough to finish first or second in your league, and then you've got Strider when it matters.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think he's going to be important even before that.
I hope so. I love Strider. I love Strider. He was my clear number one pitcher last year. Like
Yeah,
I took
absolutely.
Strider number one easily. I didn't even think about it. Um, but that lasted one game, 2 games. It was bad.
Yeah,
Oh, poor
that was
poor
rough.
guy.
I mean, yeah, not being an early pitcher guy on Underdog, I wasn't super in on him, so I avoided that last year. But yeah,
Last
yep,
year I didn't go super heavy on underdog drafts, period. I did last year about maybe like 200 total, so it wasn't a huge amount. I know that probably sounds crazy, but in
for some
football, I
people,
mean, I'm like five, six, 700, But a couple years ago, um, in 2023, uh, I went I went stack crazy a couple years ago, Matt.
yeah,
You know what? It's your pick. I'm gonna let you talk.
yeah. So I did not get Bichette or Soler to come back. Um,
Just missed on Bo.
just missed on Bo. There's a lot of pitchers here still I like too. Maybe I lied. Maybe I'm going to go four pitchers here, and this might be a six pitcher total team for me, even with
The way
Strider.
that you've got it right now, I think that's probably not a bad idea. I love Grayson too. That's one that I've got a good amount of. Big Grayson fan. He just screams breakout this year.
All right, so we got the Cade Denier team is wild, so let's check it out. I've not been paying attention. All right, we got Skeens, Inchurio, Riley, Wheeler. Oh, pitcher and infielder heavy. So they took
I see
Churio,
that.
and
And then that's
then
it.
yeah, they bumped up Caminero, and then took Naylor, Jake Berger, Christian Walker. So interesting strategy. We'll have to remember to look back at what their outfield room looks like at the end of the draft there.
Interesting indeed.
All right, so you are on the clock now. We got
Okay, on the
still
clock.
some pitchers up here at the top, some infielders.
So this was one where I tell you, I kind of I feel like I should take a picture, right? Like based off of who's here, but I think I'm going to push pitching another go around. I think I'm going to back to back infield.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to go with, for my first one, I'm going to go with Dansby to pair with PCA from my last one. I think Dansby's due for a bounce back. And then I'm gonna shoot big and just hope he stays healthy and just go with Royce Lewis. I love Royce Lewis. I'm a big fan of his, but talk about someone who can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
This dude, it's ridiculous. I mean, he can't run to first base without getting hurt. But I just root for him though. I root for him. I root for Buxton. I'm kind of like a secret Twins fan, apparently. So
I mean, I don't know how you can dislike the Twins. They don't really have an identity to dislike.
no, and those guys just seem like really good guys. They actually care. Like I like Correa as like the leader of that team. And whenever I take Royce Lewis like this, it opens up those later twin stack pieces that you have here because you can
Yeah.
get many twins at the very end of these things, almost every draft.
All right. So yeah, this just nonstop Jung Hoo Lee, fifth or sixth outfielder on Underdog. Just if he gets hurt again, I'm going to be in trouble. But you know,
Yep,
hopefully not.
I'm right there with you, my friend. Let me go see.
The
I'm
expert,
wondering
the
how
expert
much I'm
here
with you.
is saying, "I'm terrified of Royce, but for best ball, I can give him a very small share." Yes.
Yeah. If this was a Roto, if this was a Gladiator team, I'm not drafting Royce as much as I love him. I'm at 24% Jung Hoo Lee, so that's a pretty strong number. I'm right there with you. I mean, he's a hits machine. If you go to projections, I mean, I don't live and die by projections by any means. I don't put a lot of weight in them, but I do look at them, and I know that a lot of people are looking at them. And Jung Hoo Lee's projected to have a great season, at least from Steamer. I know a lot of new projection systems came out.
Yeah. So I'm I have Lawrence Gurriel ranked here, but I can never click on him here. So I think maybe I need to adjust my ranking on him because I never actually want to click on him, even with the Arizona stack. This still just doesn't feel great. So I'm gonna grab an infield. I'm gonna grab Yandy Diaz. Um,
Yep.
again with the Bat X is as always in love with Yandy Diaz. So um, we got to hope for that. We kind of have this double Vlad Yandy guys, two guys who always project really well and never quite reach those projections.
Yandy, 2 years ago, Yandy did. I would say. I don't know what his projection. 2 years ago, Yandy was fantastic. Um, Yandy's just a good hitter. I can't wait to see though what Yandy does in this new quote unquote Tampa Bay Park, the Steinbrenner Field.
Yeah.
All right, I'm up. But I've heard with the short right field, I've heard a lot of chatter talking about how um, with Yandy's opposite field power, how that could actually knock up his homer numbers
Oh,
this year.
interesting.
And that's something that I definitely am intrigued by. So this is the time for me to go ahead and I'm going to jump in and I'm going to grab the first pitcher I'm going to grab. I'm going back to back pitcher here.
Okay.
And then I'll
Sandy.
have a 4-4-5 build to start. And the first one I'm going to grab Sandy. I'm fully back in on just betting on Sandy being back to just a innings horse. Um,
Hmm.
I hope I'm not wrong. And now it's, do I want to swing for the fences with Shane McClanahan
Right.
or go with Steady Eddie Reynaldo Lopez? I say Steady Eddie like he's real, like he's proven anything after last year. Um, I'm going Shane. I'm
Okay.
going Shane. We're gonna shoot big, and why not take the Cy Youngs from 2 years ago who were hurt and missed 2 years?
Might as well just line them up. the Cy Young Award winners. uh, we got expert also calling out Matt Wallner is going to be big this year.
Yeah. Wallner's, I've been mixing in a lot of these twins in my drafts. Wallner, I know I mentioned this to you back a couple weeks ago. At the very end, I don't mind mixing in Trevor Larnack too.
Yeah,
I don't know that he'll play every day, but he's got really good power. And
yeah,
if he does expand into a regular role, um, now obviously I know that he may not hit against lefties, but still, he could be a 20 plus homer source.
yeah, and you know, as much as we hate, I'm going to grab Lord's Grail here now.
He
After,
made it back around to
yeah,
you.
he
Yeah,
made
that's
it
the
back.
time.
Yeah, definitely no problem there. Yeah, as much as we hate the Twins for their platooning and stuff, um, we also know that they're going to go to Matt Wallner when there's a righty coming in. They're not afraid to put him into the game and take somebody else out as much
Hmm.
as quick as they are to give him the hook too.
Wallner power for days. The Twins are they're an intriguing team. They're one of many, but they are definitely an intriguing team.
I think I saw Dakota has them winning the division still,
I
even
actually
with
just went. I was interested. I went and looked on roster resource. They actually have Larnack projected to be the third hitter in a split, but still.
right.
And then Buxton 4 and Wallner 5, Royce Lewis 6. That's the way they've got it on roster resource. So that's pretty interesting. Oh my gosh. Speaking of the Twins, they just had their first free agent signing. Did you see what it was?
Um,
It's big. It's huge.
I I saw it. I
Not
forget
really.
though. What was it?
Harrison Bader,
Oh yes, that's right. The
or as us Cardinals fans like to call him, Harrison Baber.
uh
The ladies love him. He used to have those flowing golden locks.
oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm gonna take this fall on Jackson Holiday here. 30 picks or so after his
Good.
ADP.
Great
Uh,
fall. Great fall.
right. I don't know what Jackson Holly's going to do this year, but there's no even at 135, especially in Baltimore stacks. I'm taking him at the price because I think he's still really young. He could have another developmental year, and Baltimore keeps signing guys and crowding their depth charts. But I mean, there's no reason to let him fall like this. I guess I guess this is a result of the room being outfield hungry.
You know, speaking of the room and the results of the room, man, I'm not a big fan of Sedane Rafaela, but this is a really good spot for him. And
Yeah,
I think what I'm gonna do with these two picks, I like to do 7 outfield builds. I'm gonna just knock my outfield out right now, not even do a late outfielder. Take Sedane and then grab young Jock Peterson. Not I
excellent.
should say not so young Jock Peterson, and take another Ranger and finish out my outfield. I like this outfield now quite a bit.
Yeah, Matt F here is saying this draft is the first time I've seen Raphael in my ranks in weeks. I still might lower him. Don't want to draft him still,
No, I
but
get it. I totally get it. I
yeah,
I did it because the room gave it to me. When you do these underdogs, it's also part of the fun, is the freedom of doing these, right? The majority of every team you're going to do isn't going to win. So you can take risk, and
yeah.
know that it's all about risk management. How many times per your lineup do you take those swings? If I was looking at my lineup right now, I took a big swing on Acuna. I took a big swing on, I'm gonna say, Royce and then McClanahan. Those are my three big swing question marks. But if things work out, they work out really good.
I mean, I think even to some extent, uh, Garcia, Sale staying healthy,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
the smaller swings. All right, let's bump them up here. My favorite just solo guys in this area is Wilson Contreras. We're just gonna grab him.
That's who I thought. That's what the name I thought was there. Yep,
Uh,
you moved him up good. I've been able to pull a lot of Wilson Contreras in round 17, 18, 19 of these.
Yeah, I mean, that's on the ranks there. So that is not looking at ADP, but I just
Well,
looking at the other infield options here. Arias, maybe McMahon. I don't hate, but Xavier Edwards. I'm not aiming for 60 stolen bases and one home run. Maybe I don't know. This is not a group
it's
of
not a
infielders
very
I love.
say it's not a very fun infield group. No, no. Hey, I'm fully on board with Wilson Contreras with him playing first base for the Cardinals slash DH and just gonna have his theoretically have his lineup, his bat in the lineup every day.
Yeah,
He can be a stud. I mean, I was talking earlier about StatCast numbers and looking at the Savant pages. If you look at the Savant pages for Wilson Contreras and you compare it to other catchers, you are going to take Wilson Contreras because it looks good. It's a lot of red. He hits the ball hard. I mean, he's just a good hitter, just plain and simple. So last year I was watching the game whenever he got his arm broken from JD
oh
Martinez swing,
yeah,
and I was just like, unbelievable. What the heck are they doing? I mean, like, why? And then they're like, oh, well, the Cardinals told him to get closer to the plate. Why? He's right on top of the plate. How could the coach tell him to do that? Anyway, hopefully we won't have that happen again, is the point.
yeah. Because I mean, I like the two other catchers Cardinals have too. Just they both
Herrera
have.
and Pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I say Pages, it's Pajes, I know, but still.
Yeah. Like I wish Paez wasn't there because Herrera is, like especially in Roto, just he's got a good bat.
Herrera's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's good. I don't know how much power he has. I'm not sure if he'll develop into a 15 or 20 homer guy, maybe just like a 12 to 15,
right. But
but he can hit for a good average. He's just a good player.
getting that out of your catching spot is excellent in Roto. Especially where when you're
DC's.
when you're playing in two catcher leagues.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
There's a big swing.
I'm gonna take a swing here. Yeah, and Zach Neto. We got the one Instagram post of him working out, so that means he's completely healthy.
He's fine.
He'll be fine.
No, I was very, very impressed with Zach Neto last year. How
Yeah,
crazy is it to have the Angels, such a terrible organization, but like for them to bring up Neto and Shanuel 2 years ago, right, fresh out of the draft, and be like, "Here you go, boys! Like, welcome to the big leagues."
yeah,
And that never happens. But Zach Neto, he's legit. Um, I really like him, although I don't draft him a lot, and that's because I am definitely worried about the health. But
absolutely. Yeah.
okay, so I'm back up, and this is a round where I'm going to think I'm gonna go pitcher and infielder, and then that will leave me with a 5-5-7 build and kind of give me some freedom for what I want to do at the end. I went ahead and grabbed Nathan Eovaldi. He's
Yep.
someone who I think works really well with this team with Sale, Alcantara, and McClanahan. I'm looking now to add some actual, just sort of like innings horses. And I'm torn between right now between Eflin and Barrios. So I'm not going to take either. Let's
Okay.
just go with the guy at the top of the thing, and let's just go with the guy who leads the league in hitting every year in Luis Ariz. This feels like a good fall for him. It's almost 40 picks past his ADP. The room doesn't want him.
Yeah.
I'll grab him here.
Good, because then I don't even have to think about it.
There you go.
I don't want to take him, and I don't have to think about it. All right. So far, I've avoided. I did not take Robbie Ray. I might have to just do it since you're here and you were on with Bubba and saying how you can't take any Brandon Woodruff. So
You just want to prove a point, huh?
just got to prove a point here and take Brandon Woodruff and go back to maybe this has become a 7 pitcher build with Strider and Woodruff both not going to be ready for the season. So we might end up going 7.
I can see that now with taking him on this team. I can definitely see that. I think that's probably the right decision to take 7 with those two. Um, But with that said, as much as the fact that, yeah, I'm just not going to draft Brandon Woodruff,
Yeah.
I do like him. I like him quite a bit. I mean, I have a dynasty team that we've been doing with a couple buddies of mine since 2020, and I've got him on that dynasty team, and I've been sitting on him for 2 years, waiting for him to come back, and I hope that he comes back and does well this year. I really do. But that arm injury, just the whole. I remember 2 years ago, or I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago when it started.
Mhm.
Wasn't it in 23 when it started? And
Yeah.
hearing him talk about like losing the sensation in his fingertips and losing the feeling in his fingertips, and like it's scary stuff enough that like until he's back out there, as soon as Woodruff is back out there pitching, like if he comes back this year and looks good, I'll be back in next year for sure. Although obviously next year his price will be 10 rounds higher if
Right.
that's the case.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. It's definitely, there is a lot of homer pick there, and just loving the dude himself too. Um,
If
all right.
if his last name was Sheets, then everything would have been fine.
um, all right. Man, I don't know. We're gonna take Tommy Edman. I don't know.
Yep. Tommy
Um,
Edmonds a really good solid pick right there. He's not sexy, I get it.
yep.
Because he's not huge power speed, but he's just a good hitter. And I'll tell you, from watching that guy play his whole career, he is just a ball player. So, and boy, did he, well, I say he doesn't have a lot of power. Well, he sure looked like it in the playoffs last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Right. It was crazy where he was batting in the playoffs. Like, I did not expect that out of him. But I mean, he's still there. He should play every day for the Dodgers. I don't. He's going to be the versatile one. He's going to be the guy moving around.
Mhm. I've got a good amount of him. I'm a Tommy drafter, so I approve.
All right, and then we got a couple of. I almost grabbed Jackson Jobe there, and then I remembered what I was doing with my
Pitching.
pitching, and I didn't love adding it because the one. I mean, Jackson Jobe is a little bit of a mystery to me this year.
Mhm.
Scouts love him, projections hate him, but the team says he's going to have every opportunity to be the fifth guy in the rotation this year. And when you look at some of the guys ahead of him, Alex Cobb, it's not like they're the picture of health ahead of him. So even if he's not there right away, yeah. So I'll let you talk
Yep.
about your picks though.
Yeah, no problem. One I know. I'm gonna let it time out here. I'm trying to decide the next one. I'm going to go ahead and grab Correa. I mentioned him earlier.
Yep.
I think he fits really well with this infield that I've got. And then now, so I always try to am thinking of like what I'm sure you do too, always like how do I want this build to finish?
Yep.
Based off of this team, I think I also want a 7 pitcher build, but I'm not 100% on that. I'm going to make a very not very fun pick, but I'm gonna bet on it, and I'm gonna go with Max Scherzer. So
Ooh.
I kind of have a late round thing for like older veterans where I don't really care if they are big injury guys like like Scherzer and Verlander, like injury risk. If I think they can stay healthy and give innings, right now, I don't have a reason to say that he can't stay healthy. I mean, last year told me he couldn't. Last year told me he's done.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Blue Jays just signed him. We've been talking about the Blue Jays, and I don't think he's going to be great, but I took the swing here. Let's hope he
Okay.
got one more season in him. And I'm going
I
to take a 7th pitcher.
yeah. I can't really talk because I'm taking Brandon Woodruff coming off major shoulder surgery. But I've been in the camp that Scherzer's been dust for a couple of years.
Dust.
Even not so much dust, just his body is breaking down. Even going back to the year he went to the Dodgers for the playoffs, he had a ton of health stuff pop up here and there, and I just, yeah, it's not.
He has. So you're not wrong. Yeah, you're definitely not wrong.
All right, so I'd like to know where Nick Pivetta is going to sign.
If he was signed, I would have clicked his name.
And
I'm nervous. I've been drafting him a lot, but I'm nervous that he's not signed yet.
yeah, and maybe I'm going to take Bueller here. I think
I thought about Bueller. Um,
um, someone I've never been a huge fan of, even back to his Dodger days. I thought his value was always overinflated, but as the results have started to match some of the underlying stuff, and the injuries and stuff have built up, I'm just kind of happy with him grabbing him really late in drafts and going for those good outings out of him.
mhm. No, I'm completely good with it. My buddy that I told you that his name's Duggar, who was third in the Dinger last year.
Yeah,
He has been drafting a lot of Bueller and Jackson Job, two guys we were just talking about.
yeah,
He's fully in on them. I will sprinkle in Bueller occasionally, but see, I don't. It's kind of crazy, I know, but in a way, I feel more confident with Max Scherzer helping me in September than I do
okay,
Bueller,
sure,
and that's kind of the thing I think of with these last picks. See, I already have five pitchers. If I'm going to take seven, I've got five pitchers that should help me finish first or second in the league, and then I need pitchers that can get those three start weeks come the playoffs, right? And veterans who have been around that the teams don't care about innings. See, Job, that's the thing. Come September, is Job going to help you? Is he going to help you in the playoffs? Is he going to get three starts in any 2 week period in the playoffs? I don't know. Probably not. They're going to be reducing his innings at the end of the year. That's the way I think about it. Like, how can these late picks help you at the end of the season?
that's interesting. Um, all right, so I got four guys here: Pavetta, Olson, Montes, Cortez. Excuse me, but we're gonna take Pavetta. I think. No,
Yeah, I'm fine. Pavetta's a good pick.
I audibled. I went to Reese Olson, someone who I have almost
Yeah.
none of, and I want some of. So that's where that came from. I want I want some, and I haven't gotten any. So yeah, I
I
wonder if
am completely fine with it. Here's the way I think about Reese Olson. He's a pitcher. He'll be out there. I mean, he he doesn't strike out a lot of guys. He's not very flashy, but he seems to be pretty dependable, and it's kind of like he's kind of like a young version of the name I'm seeing at the top here, Merrill Kelly. I mean, I kind of view him a little similar. I mean,
sure.
I don't know. I don't have a high opinion of Reese Olson, but I don't have a negative opinion of him. He's just
Yeah,
sort of like one of these pitchers that's just it's fine. I don't mind mixing them in.
right. And we're hoping for maybe a few more wins and quality starts out of a guy like that with a little bit on the rise offense behind him too.
Hmm.
Um, Shadow Dog here going with the Jackson Job Hayden Birdsong combo at the end after picking some, you know, not too boring, but
Christian Campbell before that too, taking the big swing there with Christian Campbell. I like that. So with this last pick, I think I'm going to take someone that I've not drafted a single time yet. Looking here, I'm
okay.
not taking him on any team, but with this team and these names, I feel pretty good with it. And he gives me. It's not like the teammate pairing matters that much, but I'm going to go with Lucas Giolito. I
Okay.
heard a report recently that he actually is shooting for a normal spring training and
Yeah.
should be ready to go. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. So like I said, all of my drafts, I've been drafting since November 5th. This is the first one. So let's hope it works out. First one is on the sheep sheets.
All right.
Lucas
Uh,
Giolito, let's go.
excellent. Yeah, I will grab him every once in a while there too at the last round. This is an interesting pick, a Nick Kurtz. I can't say that
The A's kid, huh?
I can't say that I even know anything about Nick Kurtz. Uh,
He's a first baseman, A's prospect. That's what I know about him. I know he's got some power. I've seen his name drafted late in some DCs. I've
yeah,
not looked him up. I've not got to my first base prospect research yet. So I do all of my prospect research last, by the way. I've started in November and I do each position as I go, and I'm all the way to relief pitcher now. So now I'm about to double back in, do prospects, and then do my updates, and I'm going to be ready to go.
All right, excellent. So to close out here, let's take a look at our friend that we looked at earlier, Cade Denur. Ended up with an 8.57 build, the one that was saying pitcher and infield early. I don't know why we went with an eighth pitcher and Eric Fetty. Kind of like the group ahead of it, just fine, especially if you're spending that early on them. And then Riley, Walker, Caminero, Naylor, and Berger, they ended up as their only infielders. I don't.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah, these are all spike week potential guys. Riley gives you some floor. Walker gives you some floor. And then the other guys you're hoping give you spike weeks, I think. And especially
I can see
bumping.
a lot of paths where this doesn't work out though, and you're taking zeros. I
Right.
mean, especially at outfield. You
Uh,
take zeros at outfield, that's not good. I mean, but it's an interesting team, that's for
yeah.
sure.
And
I would have
look,
taken another outfielder instead of Fetty, though. That's a no doubt.
infielder, I guess I would have
Outfielder.
gone. I don't know. So Churio, Buxton, Roman Anthony, Garrett Mitchell, Lars Nootbaar, Jordan Walker, Sal Frelick.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
the problem with this, like I get what they were going for. Okay, I spent early on these positions, now I'm gonna go more. But ultimately the problem that you're coming when you're doing this and ignoring the outfield almost completely until the end, other than Churio, is you're not winning the flex. Like the you're requiring these infielders, you're trying to fill your 3 infield spots, and you're just hoping one of these outfielders gets to your 3rd outfield spot, and then what are you doing at the flex? Like just it's that's where it gets tough for me.
You know what this team kind of looks like to me is a team that shows a great example of this is a lineup that could 100%. I could see it working out in the playoffs, right? I could see it because you could see how everyone could kind of be hot and it could work together just in the right way. But good luck getting past a lot of these other rosters and finishing first or second to even get that ticket to the playoffs. That's my problem with it is how are you going to score enough points from a weekly basis from April to September
Yeah,
to August.
right.
That's my issue with builds like this. It's a very interesting mix of players. I mean, those pitchers are great. I love the pitchers. Like I said, Singer and Fetty are the two. If it was me with this team in the start, I wouldn't have taken Singer or Fetty. I
Yeah,
would have taken an infielder and an outfielder there. And then I think I would have liked it quite a bit more, to be honest.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So TK11 is saying they had too many Mets, so let's check out their team
Yeah, let's go
here.
look at that one.
Awesome pitching staff here. Some ceiling and some floor all over the place here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Down to Nasty Nestor at the end.
a
Hey,
couple of
there's a Brewer boy for you now.
yeah, a couple of shots with Ray and Luzardo, bounce backs. All right, and then infield Alonso, Vientos, McLean, Goldschmidt, Pascantino, Muncy, Arenado. Man, I like this. That's a lot of Mets,
I'm a
but I like
fan.
the team.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
great
a fan. If you're going to do a heavy Mets build, do it with Juan Soto. So I'm definitely I'm good with it. I have no problem with this team. I think it's a good one. Now, if I was to ask you this question, what do you think? How many players from an offense, just an offense specifically, so infield and outfield, how many is too many from the same team on a team?
So
Is there
again,
an answer?
I
Four,
don't.
five?
I think the answer depends on the team.
Yeah.
I've said this often. Like when people ask how many do you want from a team, and a team like the Mets, where you're taking Alonso, Vientos, Soto, Nimmo, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, like you're taking the right guys. You're not tacking on Starling Marte to this team, right? There's a difference between taking 4 Mets players and it's these 4 core guys, and compared to like, oh, I got Jesse Winker and Starling Marte as my third and fourth guy on a team stack.
Yep, I completely agree. I think that is the case. And the only thing that could have made this team better is if Lindor could have fell to him instead of Teoscar. And then at that point, yeah, take him. Like, I'm good with those 5 Mets. If you throw Lindor
Yeah,
in this, I'd have taken that as well, and
yeah,
hands down. Um, Now, up until Pete signed the other day, yesterday, 2 days ago, up until Pete signed, I've not been drafting him, but I'm fully back in on him now. I mean,
okay,
because Juan Soto, here's the thing too with the Mets. Juan Soto just showed last year. He showed his whole career, but he just showed last year how important he can be to his teammates around him, right? I mean, he makes everyone else around him better, not only from a sense of him knocking people in, but him being on base for them to knock him in, the
yeah,
pitches that different people see at the front or behind him. So all of those top 5 Mets, fully on board with those guys this year around Soto, no doubt about it.
yeah.
Yankees is one as well. If you can do like a main 4 or 5 Yankees hitters around Judge, absolutely love it, love that. But again, yeah, I wouldn't throw in Stanton at the end, something like that.
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
might.
draft a last round Austin Wells.
Right.
You might take Stanton.
Yeah, I think Stanton, specifically in best ball, still has playoff week upside for the weeks that he just goes hammer.
He does in real life because he's got the power. I don't trust him. I've had too much bad experiences with the artist formerly known as Mike. So yeah, no, but I root for the guy. He's one of those people I always love to see hit home runs. Boy, last year, him at the end of the season, holy cow, he was on a monster tear. So coming off of last year, I get the feeling of like, ooh, Stanton, baby, let's go. But I've been staying away from him.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that's because I don't trust him versus where he goes. Let me look and see in this draft. Where does Stanton go? Stanton goes, he went, where is Stanton? He went in round 12. Now, off the top of my head, I feel like he normally goes later than round 12. I think this may have been, I think he's normally like a 13 or
Yeah,
14 guy off the top of my head. Um, Still though, for
I think
me
that's
to
right.
have, I would want Stanton to fall even further. Like basically, um, if Stanton was going in that Brendan Donovan, like the Cardinals range, right? The Cardinals outfield range, Donovan,
Yeah,
Nootbaar, Burleson. If he was mixed in with those guys or below, I would feel a lot better taking him. I still think that last year's playoffs bumped Stanton up a little bit too high in people's minds, that it's
sure.
just not worth the draft cost and relative value as to what you can get. Now, obviously, though, you're doing 150 lineups, mix Stanton in. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not against anyone when you're drafting in bulk,
All right, we got a couple of comments
other than
here.
Brandon Woodruff.
Robbie says stream drafts are so sharp, forces you to do different things, which is fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is the problem with drafting so many of my drafts on stream. They first of all, I'm not paying attention exactly to everything that's going on and trying to host at the same time. And then the rooms are just always way different. Saints to death here. I like Nasty Nestor late because he's an
Hmm.
old innings eater. I think he's been injury vetted already due to the trade, so no surprises when pitchers report next week.
Hmm.
That's true. That's true. Matt
Saints to
commenting.
death. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Matt FF Child here had to go 875 based on the room. And even Dan says a rare 6 pitcher build. So everybody got a little bit out of their comfort zone on this draft, which is fun.
Yeah. It is fun. Absolutely. I had a great time. Um, Saints to Death wasn't in this draft. So, but I guess he's a follower of yours. I have been in so many drafts with Saints to Death. I feel like every single time I join, I see his name. So,
I
how's it going, my man?
I think Saints to Death has the opportunity to be the first to max this contest at the rate they are drafting currently. But
Has to be. The other day, I was off on a Wednesday, and I drafted like 5 or 6 drafts in a row, and I think he was in every single one, and I was mixing it up between eliminators and dingers, and
yes, we appreciate him. He's a big Twitter commenter too, and engagement dude. So we appreciate him. And you know what? I appreciate you, Spencer. I'm so glad we got to hook up and get
me
to draft
too.
together. This was
Oh
excellent.
man, I'd do this with you anytime because I was going to be sitting here drafting tonight anyway, so I might as well jump on and talk with you while we're doing it.
Absolutely. So everybody, thank you for jumping on tonight. Latest episode of Stacking Dingers is out. Billy and I kind of did a primer look at what all the different projection systems that are available on Fangraphs. So if you're interested in us talking about that, go check it out. If you haven't checked out the episode on stacking results from last year, check that out. And next week, we will be going to 2 episodes per week on that as we start our position previews and then divisional previews with Underdog focus after that. So,
That'll be fun.
yeah, that'll be great. So, yeah, for Spencer and myself, everyone go fill some lobbies out there.
Thanks, guys. See you in your draft.